Have you ever had that strange moment where you just know a man is thinking something he's not saying out loud? He's looking at you in that way. His eyes linger a little too long. His smile gives something away. And suddenly you can feel there's a secret playing in his mind. Men carry fantasies they rarely admit, not because they're ashamed, but because they don't know how you'll react if you knew. Some are playful, some are raw, and some, well, they blur the line between desire and intimacy. And ladies, here's the part that will surprise you. When men imagine something bold or even a little naughty, it's not always about the act itself. It's about what that act represents emotionally, psychologically, and even spiritually in the relationship. One of those fantasies, the one we're talking about today, it's something many men secretly think about, but almost none would bring up at dinner. Why? Because it feels too vulnerable, too risky, and way too exposing. And yet, it's one of the biggest windows into a man's heart and mind if you know how to look at it. See, men often get stereotyped as simple creatures. All they want is sex. Right, wrong. Behind those fantasies is often a longing for closeness, acceptance, and a type of intimacy they can't put into words. That's why today I want to peel back the layers of this secret desire, not to shock you, but to show you the psychology behind why it exists, why men keep it private, and what it actually tells you about his feelings for you. Because when you understand what his fantasies mean, you're not just decoding his desire, you're learning the unspoken language of his emotions. And when you can speak that language, you suddenly become unforgettable to him. So lean in, stay with me until the end, because this isn't just about his secret fantasy. It's about unlocking the deeper connection he's too afraid to tell you he wants. It's about intimacy, not just desire. When most women hear about men's fantasies, the immediate thought is usually, oh, it's just a physical thing. We're conditioned to believe men are visual, primal, and driven purely by lust. And while yes, men are visual, the truth is far deeper than what meets the eye. This specific fantasy we're exploring today isn't just about pleasure, it's about intimacy. It's about a man exposing the most raw, vulnerable, unfiltered side of himself to you, and the hope that you'll accept it without hesitation. Think about it for men when vulnerability is terrifying. Society teaches them from a young age to be strong, to hide weakness, to always be in control. But in those intimate moments with you, he doesn't want to be armored, he wants to be free. And this fantasy, though it might sound bold or taboo on the surface, is really his subconscious way of asking, can I show you all of me and still be safe? That's why, for him, the act itself isn't the point. The meaning behind it is, it symbolizes closeness. It symbolizes release. It symbolizes being truly seen without judgment. When he pictures this in his head, he's not just imagining a physical scenario. He's imagining a bond where he feels accepted in his most vulnerable form. And here's something that will surprise many women. Men don't fantasize this way about every woman. If it's purely physical, it doesn't carry the same weight. But when he actually cares about you, when you've gotten into his head and his heart, these fantasies take on a completely different flavor. They become about connection, about intimacy, about trust. Ladies, imagine it this way. A man who doesn't care about you isn't worried about vulnerability. He's chasing the thrill. But the man who fantasizes about this with you, he's not just chasing thrill, he's craving acceptance. That's the difference. Now, why does this matter to you? Because once you realize that a man's deepest fantasies are often tied to his desire to be emotionally safe with you, you start to see intimacy in a new way. It's not just about attraction, it's about creating a space where he feels comfortable letting his guard down. When a man feels like he can't be vulnerable, he holds back, not just physically, but emotionally. He won't give his full self to you because deep down, he's afraid of being rejected or misunderstood. But when he feels like you get him, when he feels like you see through him and still embrace him, that's when his loyalty, his passion, and his love become unstoppable. And that's why in his mind, this fantasy represents something bigger than pleasure. It represents a test. If I give you the most unfiltered, raw part of me, will you still love me? So the next time you catch yourself wondering why men think the way they do, remember this. Behind even the most surprising fantasies lies a craving for intimacy, a craving for closeness, a craving for a woman who doesn't just touch his body, but also his soul. And if you can be that woman, the one who embraces not just the polished version of him, but the vulnerable, messy, unguarded version, then you won't just be his fantasy. You'll be his safe place. And that, my friend, is something no other woman can compete with. It represents control and surrender. Now, let's peel back another layer of this fantasy, because here's where it gets really fascinating. It's not just about intimacy. It's also about control and surrender. And I know that might sound contradictory. How can it be both at the same time? But that's exactly why it's so powerful for men. See, in the male psyche, there's often this tug of war between wanting to lead and wanting to let go. Society tells men, you've got to be the strong one, you've got to take charge, you've got to be in control. And in many areas of life, they embrace that role. They go after goals, they work hard, they carry responsibility. But in the private world of intimacy, where it's just the two of you, that tug of war plays out in much more vulnerable ways. This fantasy represents both ends of that spectrum. On one hand, it's about dominance, about him taking control in a way that feels primal, bold, and unapologetic. In his head, that's thrilling because it's an expression of his masculinity in its most raw form. It's him saying, I want you so much, I need to claim this moment with you. And ladies, when a man feels he can express that with you, it makes him feel powerful, alive, and deeply connected. But here's the twist most women miss for some men. The fantasy isn't about power at all. It's about the exact opposite. It's about surrender. Because when a man reaches that point with you, he's no longer in control. He's letting go completely. He's revealing the part of himself that can't be polished or restrained. In his mind, that's terrifying, but also liberating. So while on the surface, it may look like an act of dominance, underneath it could just as easily be about trust. A man saying, I trust you enough to lose control in front of you. I trust that you won't judge me. I trust that you'll still accept me when I'm at my most unfiltered. And this is where you, as a woman, hold incredible power. Because how you respond to his vulnerability in these moments determines whether he feels safe to keep opening up or whether he retreats back into himself. Think about it. If he feels judged, mocked, or rejected, he'll lock that part of himself away forever. But if he feels embraced, if he feels you welcome that side of him, he won't just feel closer to you physically, he'll feel bonded to you emotionally. That's why this fantasy carries so much weight. It's not just a physical desire, it's a psychological symbol of his struggle between control and surrender. It's him wanting to be powerful in your eyes, but also safe enough to be powerless. And let's be real, women understand this dynamic better than anyone. Haven't you ever wanted to feel both cherished and desired, to feel both adored and respected, but also want it so much that someone completely lets go with you? Men want that exact same duality, they just express it differently. So when a man secretly fantasizes about this, it's not because he's obsessed with the act itself. It's because in his mind, it's the perfect balance of control and release. It's him being both the strong one and the vulnerable one, all in the same breath. And when you understand that, when you recognize that his secret fantasies are really about expressing different sides of himself, you unlock a level of intimacy most women never reach. You're no longer just the woman he desires, you become the woman he can be himself with, strong, weak, dominant, surrendered, all of it. And that, ladies, is the kind of connection that turns a fantasy into something unforgettable. It's linked to feeling desired. One of the biggest misconceptions women often have about men is this only wants to be the one in control. He only wants to be the pursuer. And while there's some truth in that, men do enjoy pursuing, the deeper reality is much more vulnerable. That men don't just want to desire you, they desperately want to feel desired by you. Yes, even the most confident, alpha-looking man has moments of self-doubt. He wonders, am I enough? Do I still excite her? Does she actually crave me, or is she just tolerating me? These are questions men don't usually admit out loud, but they run deep beneath the surface. And that's exactly why this particular fantasy becomes so powerful for him, because in his mind, this isn't just about passion, it's about proof. Proof that you want him in his rawest, most vulnerable form. Proof that you accept not just his best self, but also the messy, unguarded, unpolished version of him. Think about it like this. Women often fantasize about being swept off their feet, about a man who can't hold himself back because his desire is too strong. That fantasy makes you feel irresistible, right? It reassures you that you're wanted, not just casually, but with fire. Well, men want that exact same reassurance. They crave to know that their presence, their body, their touch, and yes, even their release is something you actually want. This fantasy plays into that craving because it symbolizes being completely accepted and desired by you. Now, here's the subtle truth. Men don't share this need openly because they're taught to act confident all the time. Admitting they want to be desired feels too vulnerable. But when he imagines this scenario, he's secretly asking, do you want me? Do you want all of me? And here's where you come in. The way you respond to his vulnerability is everything. If he feels your energy saying, yes, I do want you, I do crave you, it lights him up in ways nothing else can. It makes him feel strong, confident, and deeply connected to you. But if he ever feels like you're indifferent or simply allowing him to express that side, he'll start pulling back emotionally, even if he doesn't admit it, because what he wants more than anything is reciprocity. He doesn't just want to feel like the pursuer, he wants to feel pursued, wanted, and craved. And this fantasy in his mind represents exactly that. Let's flip the perspective for a second. Imagine you were with a man, and no matter how much effort you gave, he never once made you feel desired. Maybe he touched you, but not with fire. Maybe he looked at you, but never with hunger. After a while, wouldn't you start to feel invisible? Wouldn't you begin to question whether he really wanted you or if you were just convenient? That's exactly how men feel deep down when their desire isn't met with equal energy. They may not admit it, but they crave that validation just as much as women do. And so when he fantasizes about this act, what he's really craving is confirmation. He wants to know, does she want me so much that she accepts me at my most unguarded? If the answer is yes, it bonds him to you on a level he won't even fully understand himself. Because here's the truth, men can find attraction anywhere, but what they rarely find is a woman who makes them feel completely desired. That's rare. That's addictive. And that's why this fantasy carries such weight. So ladies, the next time you think about the way men desire you, remember this, he doesn't just want to be the one craving. He wants to be craved. He wants to know that you're not just allowing him into your space, you're hungry for him to be there. And when he feels that from you, he won't just fantasize about you, he'll be devoted to you. The taboo factor, let's be honest here, nothing gets the human mind racing quite like something that feels just a little bit forbidden. You know this already, whether it's sneaking that last piece of chocolate, reading a romance novel you'd never admit to your friends, or that thrill of doing something you shouldn't but can't resist anyway. The same is true for men's fantasies. Part of what makes this one so magnetic in his head is the taboo factor. The fact that it's not something people openly talk about, the fact that it feels a little risque, even naughty, is precisely why it takes root in his imagination. See, here's the thing about the human brain: when something is off limits, it instantly becomes more exciting. Psychologists call it the forbidden fruit effect. What we can't or shouldn't have suddenly feels 10 times more alluring. And men are no exception. In fact, for them, this particular fantasy carries an extra layer of thrill because it isn't a conversation they can just casually bring up. It stays locked inside a private little secret that fuels his desire. And ladies, here's where it gets even more interesting. Men don't fantasize about this with just anyone. The taboo factor only works when there's trust. If he doesn't feel safe with you, the idea won't even cross his mind. But if you're the woman he actually respects, desires, and connects with, then suddenly that forbidden edge becomes intoxicating, because in his mind, it's not just about doing something bold, it's about doing it with you. The one woman who makes him feel both excited and safe at the same time. Duality is what keeps him hooked. Think of it this way: imagine a man who looks at you across the room and smiles in that way that makes your stomach flip. You already know what he's thinking. There's electricity in the air, because the two of you are sharing a secret no one else sees. That's the exact energy this fantasy carries for him. It feels like a private rebellion, a hidden connection only the two of you share. Now, let's be clear, men are not walking around thinking about taboos just for the sake of shock value. What they're really craving is the adventure that comes with it. They want to break out of routine. They want to feel the spark of unpredictability. They want to know that with you, intimacy will never feel stale or boring. And here's where you come in. When a woman understands the power of a little taboo energy, she becomes unforgettable. Why? Because she's not afraid of the edge. She's not afraid to explore the boundaries of passion. She knows how to create excitement by balancing safety with thrill. Ladies, this doesn't mean you need to perform or act out every fantasy. It's not about being someone you're not. It's about understanding why the taboo excites him and then using that knowledge to deepen your connection. Sometimes just acknowledging his boldness, teasing him about it, or creating a space where he feels he can share his desires without shame is enough to make him feel 10 times more connected to you. Because here's the truth: what's forbidden is exciting, but what's shared is unforgettable. And when you allow him to feel like you're in on his secret, that you get it, that you understand it, you instantly set yourself apart from every other woman he's ever been with. So yes, the taboo factor is real, but don't misunderstand it. It's not about shock, it's about spark. It's about taking intimacy out of the predictable and into the playful. And when a man feels that with you, you're not just the woman he desires, you're the woman who makes his world electric. It's about emotional connection and trust. At the core of every fantasy men have, no matter how bold, no matter how physical, there's almost always something deeper hiding underneath. And for this one, that deeper layer is emotional connection and trust. Because here's the truth, men don't share their rawest, most unfiltered selves with just anyone. They might date casually, they might flirt, they might even spend the night, but that doesn't mean they're opening the doors to their deepest desires. For a man to even imagine this kind of fantasy with you, there has to be something more than attraction. There has to be trust. Think about it, this fantasy on the surface looks purely physical. But what it really represents is him saying, can I give you the part of me I never show anyone else? Can I let go completely in front of you and know you'll still accept me? And that is where the emotional connection comes in. When a man feels he can trust you with his vulnerability, when he feels he won't be judged, mocked, or shamed, his desire for you intensifies. It's not just about wanting your body anymore. It's about wanting you. Wanting the emotional safety you create. Wanting the bond that makes him feel like he's finally free to be himself without walls. Now, here's something fascinating most women don't realize. Men often struggle to articulate their emotions. They don't sit around with their friends unpacking their feelings the way women might. So instead, they channel those emotions through actions, through intimacy, through fantasies. This particular fantasy is his way of expressing trust, connection, and the desire to be completely unguarded with you, even if he doesn't have the words to say it out loud. And ladies, here's the key. When you recognize that his desires are actually tied to his emotions, you stop taking them at face value. You stop thinking, oh, that's just physical. And you start seeing them for what they really are, a reflection of how deeply he feels for you. This is why men don't fantasize this way about just anyone. With someone casual, it's all surface level. But with you, the woman he respects, the woman he actually wants a future with, this fantasy becomes more than just pleasure. It becomes a secret way of saying, I trust you with all of me. And when you respond to that trust with openness, with acceptance, you create a bond he won't forget. Because here's the thing, physical attraction is everywhere. Emotional safety, that's rare. And when a man feels emotionally safe with a woman, she instantly becomes irreplaceable in his life. Let's flip this for a second. Imagine you let a man see a side of you that no one else sees. Maybe it's a quirky part of your personality. Maybe it's your deepest fears. Maybe it's the part of you that feels messy or imperfect. Instead of pulling away, he embraces it. He finds it beautiful. He loves you more because of it. How would you feel? Seen, cherished, bonded to him forever. That's exactly how men feel when they know they can trust you with their most unfiltered desires. It's not about the act, it's about the acceptance, it's about the connection. It's about knowing that with you, they can be vulnerable, messy, imperfect, and still loved. So when a man secretly holds on this fantasy, understand what it really means. He doesn't just want your body. He wants your acceptance. He wants your trust. He wants the kind of connection that turns passion into partnership and intimacy into something unforgettable. And when you can give him that, not just in fantasy, but in reality, you won't just be the woman he desires, you'll be the woman he feels safe to love with everything he has. At the end of the day, the way a man greets a woman he secretly likes is never just about words. It's about subtle signals, tiny gestures, and unspoken emotions that reveal what his heart is too shy to admit. From the lingering eye contact, to the nervous laugh, to that slightly too long handshake or playful nudge, every detail tells a story. And once you learn to read these signs, it's like unlocking a hidden language of attraction. But here's the most important part. A greeting is not just a beginning, it's also an opportunity. It sets the tone for every interaction that follows. That smile he can't hide, that spark in his eyes, it's an invitation for you to notice, to respond, and maybe even to open the door for something more meaningful. Because love, attraction, and connection often begin in the simplest of moments. Hello, that feels warmer, a touch that lingers, or a voice that softens when speaking your name. So the next time someone greets you, pause for a second, look beyond the words. What is their body saying? What is their heart trying to express? You might just discover that someone near you has been carrying unspoken feelings all along. If you found this breakdown eye-opening, make sure to like this video, share it with someone who'd love to know these hidden signs, and subscribe for more relationship insights. Your next love story might just begin with a simple greeting.